how to look into the camera instead of looking at myself with this camera. Welcome back, Hunni Gang. I mean, honestly, there is no excuse to how long it's been since we've made any YouTube videos. We've been through quarantine, all kinds of things in time, all kinds of time that we could have made videos, but we just didn't. Mainly because, honestly, I'm just gonna be 100% with you. When it comes to YouTube, it does take motivation and drive. I mean, it is like a full-time job. But I mean, it's something that I love to do, I'm willing to do. I just think that there's been a lot going on as well, so just kind of gonna give you the rundown on that today. So I wanted to give you guys a big announcement. So as you guys know, if you have been following our family, and if not, we have a 7-year-old daughter, Aoki, and she has been the only child for so long, and now we have fallen pregnant again. So there's the news. I'm pregnant. I'm currently 15 weeks. And I just wanted to be able to share that with everybody. I'm not really a big person on being so out there, but I know that once we started this vlogging channel, it was something I knew I had to look forward to doing, was being more open. And that's the point. And also I wanted to help others as well, because I go to YouTube for help with everything: hairstyles, lifestyle, clothing, advice. YouTube has been my biggest outlet. So I wanted to be able to give that same, same advice that, at least from my end, on what I could tell you that I've been through and that, is relatable for me. And the reason why I wanted to film this video so personal, like I'm doing right now, instead of it being, me and the family sitting down, is because I have currently, within the past year and the beginning of this year, experienced 3 miscarriages. So that is something that a lot of people don't know, except for people that we know and have been close to us, because it has been a hard time. So a little rundown on this big gap that we're having between our kids. Aoki is 7. She'll be 8 in June, which will be a month after the baby is born. There has been a gap because, life just kind of moves forward and you feel like you want, I've always wanted my kids to be close in age. I have always grew up being so separated from my siblings in age. Like, me and my brother are 9 years apart. Me and my sister are 8 years apart. And then the rest of them are super young. So it's like these huge gaps between me and my siblings, which is fine because, as they get older, they can communicate and, things get easier. But I guess just because I, grew up with my grandparents and they raised me, it made me want to kind of have more siblings. Like, I just wanted to be around other kids, So, but I told myself, well, when I grow up and I have kids, I'm going to make sure that they're close in age and they're growing up and interested in the same things and want to do the same thing. But you know what? Life happens the way it's supposed to, and I'm taking it for everything that it is. I'm not going to be mad, because as long as everything goes along the right way and you're healthy and your baby's healthy, your kids are healthy, that's all that matters. So, so about my miscarriages, well, first, we tried for about a year to have a baby, which was probably starting in, I think we started around 2018, and there was just no luck. And I was thinking to myself, okay, maybe it's because I'm getting older. But there's so many women that are in their mid-30s, 40s, having kids, and there shouldn't be anything wrong with me. I became pregnant 2019, the beginning of the year, and that was, I have all these dates in my phone. Honestly, it kind of slips my mind in a sense, because I do like to kind of not remember those times so vividly to the point where it's like, you know, oh, this was the date. Like, I just don't like to bury myself into those thoughts a lot, but it was around June-ish, I think, when I got pregnant, when we were finally, you know, when we finally felt pregnant. So, you know, I was so excited. I took a test. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. We're pregnant, you know? And, it came to about, like, I guess like a week after, like maybe not even a total week after, I started spotting. And, for me, I was like, okay, this is different, because with my daughter, I never had spotting. Everything was just fine. You're not supposed to spot when you're pregnant, right? You know, and I look it up and they're like, oh, that's completely fine. Sometimes people just go through that because they're implanting, and, you know, it's just completely normal. But if you're having cramps with it, you do need to check with your doctor. And unfortunately, I was cramping with it. It felt like my period was coming. So we went to the doctor, and she checked my blood levels and everything just to kind of see what my HCG levels were and progesterone levels. And it turns out that my HCG was very low, and so was my progesterone. And the HCG was so low to the point that at that point I wouldn't even be testing with a positive pregnancy test anymore. It just completely failed. About a few days after that, I was 6 weeks at this point. I remember it was just so bad. I just had really bad cramps. I'm like, this is it. I'm gonna miscarry. So we go to the hospital, and literally right before, you know, they even do an ultrasound on me, I go in the bathroom, and it was there. It was right there. It happened in the bathroom at the hospital. And so I came out, and the ultrasound tech was standing there, and I let her know. I said, I mean, I literally feel like I think I just passed the baby just now. And she was like, oh, well, sometimes, you know, it's not really that, so we're just gonna have to check you still to make sure everything's out, if that's the case. If not, then, you know. She checked, and of course the doctor comes in, and he's like, I'm so sorry to let you know, but you guys, you know, just experienced a miscarriage, which I knew. So that was that, and it was very sad. I mean, I'm the type of person that, like, I try not to worry so much, but in the back of my mind, when I know my body, and when I know something's not right, it's more than likely not right. And so I was always trying to somewhat, you know, keep the positivity alive, but I just also felt like I just knew something wasn't right. And for my husband, he was devastated, and he was positive up until obviously that point. And it came over him, and he got emotional, and it was sad. So of course, you know, we were looking forward to having a baby for a whole year, and then this happens. You know, I didn't try immediately right after, because you want your body to kind of adjust back to normal, of course, have another period or two, make sure that you're, you know, stable and well to be able to try again, at least at your cycles, you know, renewed. And so 4 months later, we became pregnant again. And this time I was like, okay, well, you know, miscarriages can be so rare for people. Maybe that was just something didn't go right that time. Maybe it just didn't develop. It didn't, you know, something didn't go right. So this time around, I'll be fine. It was just that I was having cramps. And then also, because I had a miscarriage, I told my doctor, I was like, I just want to come in and get checked to make sure everything's well before, you know, anything. I just want to know. I had a miscarriage. I want to know everything's okay. So I go in, and she does an ultrasound, and this one was vaginal, which I am not a fan of to this day. Of course, you know that if you're gonna miscarry, it's gonna happen regardless of what. And you know, like I said, everything was fine. I was just cramping, and I just wanted to know, like, okay, maybe this is normal this time around. It's just, you know, she checks, and there's a baby in there, little bean with a heartbeat. So at this point, you don't hear the heartbeat, you just see it on the screen. I didn't really know how fast the heart was going. I mean, she didn't tell me, and I just kind of figured, like, you know, but of course in your mind, you're like, you have a miscarriage once, you're thinking about everything, like, is everything okay? Is that proper? Is everything going well? But So, you know, she was like, you're just stressing, you know? We leave, get home, and as I'm using the bathroom and wiping, I'm noticing spotting again. And I'm like, okay, spotting. Maybe it's this time it's just because I had a vaginal ultrasound and, you know, she was using the wand in there. Maybe it just irritated something and I'm just having a little spotting. But the spotting got a little bit more. Not too much, but it was there and it was showing. And then I had a day where I just got really crampy and it was like burning in my back. And you know it's not right when you feel like you're gonna start your period, and you know, so I go in the room and I lay down and I'm like, I'm just so uncomfortable right now. This is not a good feeling. And it just gets worse. It's progressing pretty fast. Actually, within 10 minutes, it progressed so bad that I was like, I have this urge to go to the bathroom and like sit there, and because it just feels like something's happening. I go, and as soon as I sit down, like from just spotting to like a gush of just, I mean, too much information probably, but I mean, a lot of women go through this, and I feel like sharing this because it's relatable for a lot, and maybe somebody wants to hear about this because of their own situation. But then just basically at this point, this baby was more developed than the other one. It was around 6 weeks as well, but it was following into 7 weeks for this one, and I believe it got the chance to get a heartbeat to develop more than the first one did. So when I passed this tissue, it was like, you know, a lot more, and it was just, it was there. It was there. I saw it, and I just couldn't believe it. You know, I was like, oh my God, like, again this happens to me. So I was upset, of course. It was very upsetting. We go to the hospital, of course, to confirm and make sure everything's, I mean, I knew it was a miscarriage. They like to check and say, oh, sometimes that's just, you know, hemorrhaging. Sometimes people have that, and it's just that you're not, you know, you still have your baby. But I knew in my heart that's what that was. I saw it, and then they came in again, same routine, confirmed it's a miscarriage. I'm so sorry. Once again, and then it's just, and I'm sitting here like, I mean, this is ridiculous. You know, at this point, I'm like, it's me. What, you know, it makes you blame yourself because you're wondering, what is it about me? You know, what is it that makes me not be able to carry a baby anymore? I've had a healthy pregnancy before. I have a child. Why now am I not able, you know? And once again, another sad moment for us. During all these, you know, visits, I was going with Carnell, and we didn't have Aoki with us during these times because obviously it's something that she shouldn't have to be there for. With my first miscarriage, I told her I was having a baby. I mean, you don't think these things are gonna happen to you. You really don't. And then it happens. Sometimes it happens to people, and then you're like, oh my God. And so I had her, you know, excited the first time, and then I had to break the news to her, which was hard. And you try to think, how do I tell a child, you know, that a baby is not in there anymore? And I just sat her down and explained that to her the best way possible that she could understand without it being too much. After that, we decide that we're just not, we're not going to focus on that anymore. We're just going to live life. And if it happens, if we fall pregnant again, it happens. And we'll hope for the best. We'll pray for the best. So time goes on. I'm so sorry. I mind you, I keep swallowing and stuff. I'm so sorry. It's so extra, but I have excessive saliva during this pregnancy. So we ended up moving. I mean, and I will say during these times, if anybody's wondering like, well, what else could have been the issue? We were going through a very depressing time. You know, a lot of things weren't going the way that we thought they would, and it had us kind of with like, you know, a lot of hopes, and then things happened, and then it didn't go the way that it was planned, and then we end up being, you know, disappointed. It was a big it was a big disaster during the time for us. We were just really emotional, depressed, and so I think that played a big part as well. We end up moving back to Florida, which is where I'm originally from. I just felt like it was just time. I have family here. I felt like it was time for me to kind of get back to basics for a second and regroup myself, pull myself together in every way possible. So that's what we did. Moving back, I started having this sharp pain at the beginning of the year 2020, and it felt more so like, I'm like, oh my god, I'm looking it up because I'm thinking it's an appendix like issue or something. Like, what's going on? What's the problem here? And it was just nowhere in my mind did I think, oh, this is pregnancy. No, because I had a period like a week before that, and I just felt like it was just something else going on in my body that was aching so bad. And it was to the point where it was a sharp pain, and I got up like at 3 in the morning and I was like, I'm going to the hospital. I'm gonna go see what this is. So I was sitting there, they took me back, they took like a urine sample, they had me go sit in the waiting room, and I'm like literally waiting there for an hour. And I was like, it's really no point. I might as well just go home, like let this wear off. And I didn't even get seen that day. They just took my urine sample and I left. I went back 2 nights later because it continued, and I was like, okay, that's it. I'm going back. I gotta see what this is. So I do. I go back, and they see me because it was pretty late or pretty early in the morning, to the point where they had like nobody in there. They took me back and they were like, is there any chance that you can be pregnant? I'm like, no. Confidently. I had my period. No. And then they were like, okay, so we're going to get somebody in here to do an ultrasound so we can see what's going on inside of you that's, you know, that's causing this pain. So before, you know, the ultrasound tech gets there, the doctor comes in and goes, well, you left a urine sample the last time that you didn't get seen, but you left a urine sample. Did you know that you were pregnant? And I was like, no, because I shouldn't be. I had a period, and based off of time frames, I was like, there's just no way that I'm pregnant right now. And they were like, well, you're pregnant. So, and it's so weird because my HCG was kind of regular, but a little lower, but still kind of up there enough to say I was good and pregnant. So we go in for the ultrasound, they see nothing. And then pain continues going into the next week. And this falls around my 30th birthday. So February comes along. So this is like a week later after I already went to the doctor. And I start cramping really bad and spotting, bleeding, and I pass some tissue. And I want to say this was considered more so a missed miscarriage this time. But it was, once again, another painful process. I don't wish this on anybody, because let alone you're expecting to have a baby. So, you know, it's really hard. And so currently, I'm 15 weeks, like I said in the beginning. I got pregnant in August. Yep, I got pregnant in August this year, and I immediately call my doctor, and I'm like, I need progesterone. So my progesterone levels have always been low when it came to my pregnancies, so I immediately knew it has to be progesterone. I even went and saw a rheumatologist to check my blood out to see if it was like lupus or anything else, and I do have some high ANAs in my body, so that could affect your pregnancies. It could end them. And so I wanted to be on it. I wanted to make sure that I had, you know, everything that I needed to support this baby, to make sure this baby stays and is born. I immediately call my doctor. She sends in a prescription for me for progesterone, which I took 200 milligrams a day at nighttime. And I took that up until I was 13 weeks, which thank God I even made it to that point. I started to know that it was really working for me when I felt sick when I was 6 weeks. So with the miscarriages, I didn't feel sick at all, which I know there's those pregnancies where sometimes you're not sick, but I kind of felt like for me, I know my body enough to know that I'm gonna feel something, you know? And I was just like, please just make it to 8 weeks. But that progesterone, I feel like really saved the baby. I wanna say, I don't know my levels before the progesterone because I didn't get to see anybody until 8 weeks, but I will say that I think that that could have helped, unless this was a pregnancy that was going to succeed regardless. But I think that the progesterone did help. And I also was taking baby aspirin. So I've been taking that every day, and I'm still taking that all the way up until the end of this pregnancy because, you know, just in case of anything like preeclampsia or blood clots. I feel like this time around things are going well. I will be seeing a high-risk doctor when I'm 18 weeks. It's crazy because they space stuff out so far in advance that you're just like, is everything gonna be okay until then, you know? I did have my first ultrasound when I was 9 weeks, and I got to see the baby, and this was an outer ultrasound. I will not do a vaginal ever again. And not to say that that caused my second miscarriage, but the fact that I miscarried like right after that, it just kind of put something in my head about those things. So I prefer the outers. Healthy heart rate, developing at a great pace. And then, you know, I went back in to hear the heartbeat a few weeks later. Heartbeat's great. Everything is great. And I know I'm still early, but I can kind of feel flutters. I feel the baby moving from like a certain side, and I'm just so happy to experience this and be able to say that I am more so confident that this is going to go well. But I did want to do this video to bring you guys along the journey. So this completes the video. I have been pregnant 5 times total in my life, and this one is going to happen. So baby number 2 on the way. This was 9 weeks. Baby's bigger now, but this is the only ultrasound I have so far. I wanted you guys to see the little baby's in there. It's the pimples. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys continue to follow the journey, and there will be a lot more videos on the way. Like and subscribe if you guys felt like this video was beneficial for you, or if you just want to see the journey. Like and subscribe. Hunni Gang.